Hey everyone, hope you're well. Hope you are dry. It is wet today. Hopefully I'll get through this video without someone taking my wing mirror off, which is what happened last time. Rudely interrupted my flow, which I actually did get caught on video, so I might put that up. That was quite funny. But what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about this really big question which I have asked myself multiple amount of times over the last definitely the last 2 years, but kind of like my journey and like definitely the last 5 years is why are you doing the things you do? And that might sound like a very diverse question, a very broad stroke, but I'm only talking about it because I reflect a lot on what I have done myself, and it's very important to think about. I always say, everything's great for you until it isn't, okay? And that, again, sounds very kind of like a little bit light, but the idea that anything you do can be manipulated by your ego, which is the thing that gives you purpose and tries to keep you alive, by giving you a reason that you're around, okay, and also more importantly, why you are acceptable by your fellow human beings, right? Because there's 3 things really that make the kind of backbone of our personalities, right, and the way we act. And the first two are very kind of like the foundation for our being, like what we want, right? And the first one is to be loved, right? And I hear people going, "Oh, wincing, oh, that sounds very," but I'm talking about corely loved. When you're a baby and you come out and you have nothing, you don't have no ideas of the world and who you want to be and what you think other people, what gives you your place in the world and what kind of makes you acceptable. All you want to do, you want to be loved, right? You want to be accepted by your parents, okay? And that is a core requirement, okay? And just because you grow up, that doesn't go away. It just gets hidden under what we call coping mechanisms, okay? Especially if when you were a child you weren't that loved, okay? Or it didn't feel like you were loved, or you were missing that kind of interaction, that kind of core requirement from your kind of loved ones and such, the people that should have loved you. The next one is to be safe. And I don't just mean like safe. I mean, obviously it's important to be safe, like kind of physically, but I'm talking about feeling safe emotionally, feeling like you're able to be who you want to be, who you feel like inside, truly, to not fake yourself, to not put on a mask. And we all know that the majority of us do this one way or the other. Even though I've done a lot of work on myself, I still do it. But the joys of awareness is that I'm aware that I'm doing it, or at least the time between me doing it and me picking up and going, you shouldn't be doing this, is short. Whereas some people live in a continuous world of this. Instagram and social media and TikTok not helping, okay? And this also really links to the third one, which is the requirement to be part of something, to have a purpose, which gets a little bit more as you get older. But like the idea that we want to be accepted by our peers, the people, our community, and that comes back to like caveman woman times. No one wants to be lonely. Everyone wants to kind of be part of their tribe, right? And unfortunately, we live in a world where consumerism, okay, and people trying to sell stuff, and like, you know, these massive industries that have you know, like always trying to sell you stuff, have seen that requirement as a big fat vein, and they've tapped right into that bad boy, right? And then therefore they kind of push, buy this will make you acceptable. You know, you need to look the certain way, you need to have the certain things, you need to, success is this, purpose is this. You know, you're not living your life unless you've got this fat wage, this new BMW, you know, you've got 8 flipping abs. You know, this is the world we live in, and it makes us build so much up on top of these 2 core things: love, the want to love, be loved, and the need to feel safe to be ourselves. So we spend ourselves all the time trying to make this third thing, but forgetting about the core thing. And the truth is, you're always enough. You're always enough. You know, there's like just because certain people dictate certain parameters which seem to set out your place in society, like your meaning, your value, doesn't mean it's true. Just words. But believe me, the people that do that are also struggling. Okay? So that's the foundations, and I don't want to kick the arse out of this video because I know no one wants to watch anything past probably 10 minutes, probably too late already. But the idea is that, and I have found, especially in my physical adventures, you know, I've done ultra marathons, I've done tough courses like my All Arms Commander course. I've done, I've been going to the gym since I was flipping 18, trying to make myself acceptable, and that's it. When you look at all of those things, why was I doing it? And this has only become really aware to me as I've kind of, those choices have been taken away from me, right? Through health, and I've had to redesign my life. But for a huge period of my time, I was always chasing for external validation, for where I fit in to my tribe. And a lot of it was based on anger. Anger is the most powerful, but the most, apart from love, obviously, but like, love is a lot harder to get than anger. Anger seems to come naturally nowadays. It doesn't take a lot to get people angry, right? It's an emotion that flows freely. The ego is in control of this anger, especially when you mix it with pity and being hard done by, that victim analogy. But anger is so powerful, and a lot of people who are going to the gym and seem obsessed with this gym thing, looking a certain way, saying, I cannot not do this. I cannot give myself a break, because if I give myself a break, then what will people think of me? Okay? And obviously this is related. I'm saying this from a person who has done that. Okay? And I'm saying it from the person who has chased these trophies and chased these kind of like things that represent stuff, this thing, like represent, I thought they represented to me my value in the world. And what I want to highlight is it's a really dangerous road to go down. Okay, I spent years firing things into me, caffeine, pre-workout, always chasing, because these substances, you get used to them, your body will get used to them and want more, right? And coming off them is really hard because they're a drug, right? And they soften that feeling of anxiety, and that kind of core feeling, right? But by doing that, what they do is they move you further and further away from actually what's happening around you, the present. Okay, because the present is actually really difficult. Wow, there's tons of kids coming down the road, so it might get a bit noisy in a minute, but it's so important to find a time to step back. It's okay to give yourself a freaking break, and I'm not just talking about the gym. I'm talking about anything: career, chasing promotion, your relationships, finding relationships, wanting that hit that someone wants you, and having multiple people, like Tinder, is the crux of it, right? You can have loads of unmeaningful relationships, but all these things do, every time you do them, it's like taking a drug, right? They enforce this deep feeling that you are not enough because you're doing them for the wrong reason. Or you're like, going to the gym is great. Doing like overcoming things, doing trophies, doing events, like being successful in your career, finding relationships, it's great. It's what all life's about, okay? But it depends on the way where you're doing it from. If you're doing it to cover something up, some trauma feeling, some feeling of inadequacy, I can't even say that, you're doing it because someone else is telling you to do it, it's gonna end in disaster. Because I can tell you from personal experience, your body will take control, right? You keep going and going and going and going, because with this anger comes a lot of cortisone release, and cortisone release is stress, right? And stress is really carcinogenic to your insides, okay? It's got nowhere to go, okay? And that's what happened with me. I kept going and pushing and harder until my body went, no, Phil, sit the fuck down. That's when my thyroid blew up. And here I am. So, in part, would I really say that I would ever take that back? And I would say no. It was the best gift that ever occurred to me, because it forced awareness. It threw these things up in my face and was like, this is what's happening, and therefore this is the journey I've on, and it's the greatest journey of my life. And it is becoming the greatest achievement of my life. Nothing bears to it at all. The hardest and most rewarding thing I've ever done is spending time looking inside my bonds. I think therapy should be as important as the gym, 100%. Why would you spend time on your body but not spend time on your head? Your body's nothing without your brain. It's just a mushy, muscular, bloody pile. That's why, like, the highest athletes, the highest, like, achieving athletes go see psychiatrists and have coaching, because it's all about in here. But it's just something to think about, people. The kids, people. We're all kids inside, just growing up kids. But like, I just want the best for people, right? I just want the best for people. And you know what? There's no reason why you can't step back into it. I'm finding now, I'm starting doing my fizz. I'm getting back into fizz, but I'm coming from a different perspective. And yeah, I am not in any way the shape I used to be. My performance is nothing like what it used to be, and that's because I'm not coming from a place of anger and a place of not enough. And yeah, that means I'm not as powerful, but I am actually happier. So anyway, catch you later, people. Stay dry. Peace.